So if you're trying to build a brand today or, just stay relevant online, you've probably seen creators who seem to be literally everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Constantly in your feed.
Right. Like Gary Vee, for example, routinely posts maybe 30 times across different social platforms in a single day.
Which is just a staggering amount of output.
It really is. I mean, if it takes you just 1 hour to ideate, shoot, and edit a single post, he's doing 30 hours of work in a 24-hour day.
Yeah, the math doesn't work out.
The math is literally impossible. And for anyone listening who manages a brand or is just trying to navigate this noisy digital landscape, you know the feeling. Staring at a blank screen at 9 in the morning, trying to force an original thought into existence.
Oh, it's the worst. Total paralysis.
Exactly. It's the definition of content burnout. But today, we've got our hands on a blueprint that explains exactly how that impossible math works. We're looking at a document detailing the Gary Vee content model.
Yeah, and the claims in this document are, they're highly ambitious.
How so?
Well, it proposes this really mechanical, highly systematic breakdown of media production. It completely rejects the traditional paradigm of just sitting down to create something from thin air.
Right.
Instead, it offers a blueprint for how a single, naturally occurring event like a keynote speech or a consulting session or even a daily vlog can be engineered into over 30 unique pieces of media.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because if we just look at the output of 30 posts a day, it looks like frantic, exhausting labor.
Absolutely.
But the document suggests the solution is more of an architectural shift in how you view the things you already do every day. And it uses this specific term, the reverse pyramid.
Yes, the reverse pyramid.
Yeah.
So the traditional pyramid of content creation usually involves building up, right? You start with a wide base of scattered ideas, you research them, script them, and eventually you reach a single peak.
Like the finished video or the published article.
Exactly. But this model flips that completely upside down. You start at the very top, which is now the widest part of the reverse pyramid, with one massive, centralized asset. The source material actually calls this document pillar content.
Document pillar content. The word document seems to be doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
It really is. Honestly, it's the psychological core of the entire model, because staring at a blank Google Doc creates immense cognitive friction.
Oh, definitely.
You're demanding your brain to simultaneously invent context, establish a tone, and generate novel substance completely from a vacuum. And humans are just notoriously bad at spontaneous invention under pressure.
Right. We suffer from blank page syndrome.
Exactly. But we are, however, exceptional at pattern recognition and editing, so documenting removes that initial friction of invention.
Because you're just capturing raw material that's already being generated.
Right. Think of pillar content like crude oil.
Crude oil.
Yeah. You don't manufacture crude oil in a laboratory. You find a place where the energy naturally exists and you just drill. In the context of this blueprint, the drill is simply a camera or a microphone.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, the document gives several specific examples. Things like daily vlogs, like Daily Vee, or dedicated business Q&A shows like Ask Gary Vee.
Or even just recorded influencer meetings, keynotes, and fireside chats, right?
Exactly. Basically, any situation where a person is already talking, thinking, and interacting at length, the value is happening regardless of whether the camera is there or not.
There's actually a really vivid anecdote in the text about this mindset. Gary Vee states that if it were 2006, his pillar content would be sitting down to taste 88 wines for 48 hours, multiple times a week, on film.
Yeah, that example is wild, but it highlights the sheer density required for a good pillar.
Right.
Because tasting 88 wines is not 88 separate video shoots with 88 different scripts or lighting setups or costume changes. It's one continuous action. The environment is fixed. The camera is just rolling.
Capturing the organic reactions, the stumbles, the unscripted observations.
Exactly. The cognitive load on the creator is incredibly low because they are just performing their native expertise.
It's kind of like cooking a massive Thanksgiving turkey.
A turkey?
Yeah, think about it. You don't try to cook 30 separate meals from scratch. You roast one giant bird, and that is your pillar.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Right. Then for the next week, you're making turkey sandwiches, turkey soup, turkey tacos.
That's a great way to put it.
So what does this all mean? Is the secret here simply changing the mindset from a frantic artist trying to paint a new masterpiece every day to a documentarian who just, hits record on their own life?
I'd say that shift from artist to documentarian is the necessary first step. Let's say you're a software developer explaining a complex piece of code to a junior engineer on a Tuesday afternoon.
Okay.
You are generating value in that moment. The friction comes from trying to remember that exact explanation on Friday when you want to write a LinkedIn post about it.
Because the moment has passed and now you're back to a blank page.
Exactly. The Gary Vee model dictates you simply record that Tuesday afternoon whiteboard session. You have captured the crude oil.
But wait, a brilliant, unedited 1-hour whiteboard session is, well, it's practically useless to someone scrolling TikTok on their lunch break.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I mean, the raw value might be buried at minute 42, but the packaging is completely wrong for the environment. So how does the model bridge the gap between a massive barrel of crude oil and, a vehicle that actually needs refined gasoline?
That's where the blueprint moves down to the next layer of the reverse pyramid. It's labeled repurpose into micro-content.
Okay, so this is the refinery.
Yes, this is where the team analyzes that dense pillar content and extracts smaller, highly potent pieces.
And let's just look at the sheer variety of micro-content, the text lists, because it is extensive. We're talking about articles, memes, images, quotes, stories, mashups, remixes, rants, and GIFs.
The crucial distinction the document makes here, though, is that you aren't just blindly chopping an hour-long video into 60 random one-minute clips.
Right, you're not just spamming the internet.
No, not at all. The source specifically states these pieces are designed to over-index on the platforms they are distributed to.
Over-index meaning to perform disproportionately well for the algorithm.
Correct. The algorithms of different social platforms speak entirely different technical languages, and they reward different user behaviors.
Like how LinkedIn is completely different from TikTok.
Exactly. LinkedIn's algorithm historically rewards dwell time, how long someone stops scrolling to read. So, a profound philosophical point from a keynote might be extracted and reformatted into a text-heavy carousel or a long-form article.
Because the algorithm pushes it, since that native format keeps users on the platform.
You got it.
Meanwhile, Twitter or X might reward rapid engagement and looping media. So if the speaker trips over a wire during that same keynote, laughs, and makes a self-deprecating joke,
that moment becomes a 4-second looping GIF. The loop artificially inflates the view count and engagement metrics native to that specific platform. It is the exact same pillar of crude oil, but the micro-content extracts different types of value for different algorithmic engines.
The real-world examples in the document really drive this home. There's a pillar vlog mentioned called Daily V316.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And from that single vlog, they extracted a written blog post titled Cheering for Optimism and the Internet. Then they also created a chopped-down video called The Dutch Bros Keynote in 5.
And they don't stop there.
I know. They have these highly specific, punchy micro-content pieces. Titles like, How to Give Your Kids Confidence and Self-Esteem, Doing the Right Thing is Always the Right Thing, and Why You Should Fuck Up.
The emotional range in those titles is very deliberate. They're targeting entirely different psychological triggers.
Right. Some are educational, some are moral, some are just provocative.
Exactly.
And then there are the GIFs. One is just called It Is What It Is, and another is called Done With School. But hold on, let me pause here. The model says carve it into 30 pieces. That sounds fantastic for a massive media agency with a full team of editors. But if I'm a solo consultant listening to this, analyzing my own hour-long recorded meeting to find the perfect 4-second GIF moments sounds just as exhausting as starting from scratch.
It does sound overwhelming.
Does the document actually address the sheer resource friction of the extraction process?
So the document is fundamentally a blueprint of an ideal state built by someone with an agency. But for a solo operator, the goal isn't necessarily to hit the arbitrary number of 30.
Okay, that's a relief.
The underlying principle here is asymmetric risk.
Asymmetric risk.
Yeah. If you spend 10 hours writing an original, highly researched article from a blank page and it flops, you have lost 10 hours of capital. The friction is catastrophic.
Right, it hurts.
But if you record a 1-hour meeting you had to do anyway, and you spend maybe 30 minutes extracting just 3 short clips, and they flop, your sunk cost is minimal.
Because you were already in the meeting anyway.
Exactly. The mindset scales down perfectly. The solo operator is still bypassing the heaviest cognitive load, which is the invention of the core idea.
Oh, I see the logic. You're mitigating the risk of your content bombing by significantly lowering the cost of production.
Yes.
But I want to push back and go back to those GIFs for a second.
Okay.
If we're taking a serious business keynote and we're mining it to make reactionary memes and GIFs named Done With School, don't we risk diluting the core professional message? Like, aren't we just trying to be everywhere at once regardless of context?
What's fascinating here is the document argues that context dictates professionalism. It is an exercise in deep contextual respect for the platform's native environment.
So forcing a dry, unedited corporate presentation onto a platform designed for casual entertainment is actually the disrespectful move.
It will be totally rejected by the users and the algorithm.
Yeah.
To over-index, the content must feel native.
Right.
A highly relatable 2-second reaction GIF of a speaker making a funny face thrives on certain platforms because that is exactly how users communicate there.
So you haven't diluted the keynote's message at all.
No, you've utilized a byproduct of the pillar to build brand awareness in a totally new demographic, using their native language.
You're translating the crude oil. You ask, how do we say this in LinkedIn? How do we say this in Instagram? How do we say this in a meme?
Exactly. Translation is the perfect word for it.
But translating 30 pieces of content is useless if they just sit in a folder on your desktop.
Yeah.
Making the content is really only half the battle.
Oh, for sure. The blueprint dedicates a significant portion to the ecosystem of distribution and the continuous loop that follows.
Right.
It visually maps out a distinct landscape of distribution platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, Medium, Quora, email, and the broader web.
It's a full 360-degree view of the internet. You have Quora for deep text-based search intent, Instagram for visual scrolling, and email for direct algorithm-free relationships.
Yeah.
But the most critical insight in this entire document isn't just the list of platforms. It's the flowchart mapping out a 6-step cycle. And the sequence is document, create, distribute, listen, create, distribute.
That specific sequence is the true engine of the Gary Vee content model. The first 3 steps: document the pillar, create the micro-content, distribute it across the internet. That's really just the setup.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Look at that listen step sitting right there in the dead center of the cycle. Document, create, distribute, then listen.
Yeah.
Does listen mean the audience is actively steering the ship? Are we using the comments section from a random meme to dictate our core business strategy?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, listening acts as a highly efficient data gathering mechanism.
Okay, how so?
Think of that first round of distribution, sending out the blog post, the 5-minute video, the quotes, and the GIFs as a series of sonar pings.
So you're bouncing ideas off the market to see what echoes back.
Exactly. You are testing the algorithmic waters without committing massive resources to any single idea. Listen is the act of collecting the quantitative and qualitative data from those pings.
You're monitoring the metrics.
Right. You watch to see which piece of micro-content suddenly accelerates.
Let's use one of the text examples to make this concrete. Say you posted that extracted micro video. Doing the right thing is always the right thing. You put it on LinkedIn.
And let's say the analytics show it doesn't just get passive likes. The dwell time is high, the comments section is highly active.
People are really engaging with it.
Professionals are debating the premise, they're sharing their own corporate ethics stories in the replies, and they're sending it to their networks. The sonar ping returned a massive signature.
The market is signaling that this specific slice of the crude oil is highly valuable.
Yes, and that validated signal triggers the second half of the loop, the second create, and the second distribute. Because you listen to the data, your next action is de-risked. You now take the insights from those comments and you create more micro-content specifically around that validated subtopic.
So the audience's reaction literally becomes the raw material for the next piece of content.
Exactly. The engagement on a short video clip might spawn an in-depth Medium article exploring the nuances raised in the comments, or a popular Twitter thread might get turned into a detailed infographic for Instagram.
You're actively recycling the heat generated by the initial ping.
It becomes a self-sustaining ecosystem where nothing is wasted.
And I assume the inverse is also true. If a piece of micro-content completely fails to generate an echo, that failure is also a data point.
A highly valuable one. A failed micropiece tells you exactly what the market does not care about, and it costs you very little time to find out.
Right.
This is why the model is so resilient. It relies on the market to dictate the direction of the refinement process, rather than the creator just guessing what the market wants in a vacuum.
To bring this entirely into focus for you listening today, if you take nothing else away from this deep dive, remember that the math of the modern internet does not require you to wake up every morning and force brilliant original ideas out of your tired brain.
No, it doesn't.
That methodology guarantees the burnout we discussed at the top of the show.
The burden of constant, spontaneous invention is just mathematically unsustainable for anyone.
What you actually need is one strong pillar: You need a system to document something you are already doing well in your professional life.
Right.
That could be a weekly team strategy meeting, a deep dive research session you conduct on a Sunday, or even just a client Q&A call.
Anything where you're naturally providing value.
Exactly. You need the discipline to view that recording as raw material crude oil and extract the native translated micro-content for different platforms. And most importantly, you need a feedback loop.
Yes, you send out the sonar pings.
You listen to the data and let your audience's behavior dictate what you refine next.
The broader relevance of this blueprint really extends far beyond just social media manager.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether you are leading a massive marketing division, attempting to build a personal brand, or simply searching for a way to manage information overload while sharing your expertise, this model proves that synthesis beats invention.
Every time.
Working smarter by systematically repurposing and translating one high-value asset will always yield a higher return on energy than staring at a blank page.
We started this conversation talking about the exhausting, impossible math of content creation. The Gary Vee content model doesn't just give you a faster way to work. It tells you to step off the hamster wheel entirely.
Just stop running.
Stop trying to invent energy. Tap into the energy you are already generating. Build a refinery and let the ecosystem do the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
Which leaves us with one final, lingering question for you to mull over today. If the entire magic of this multi-platform model relies purely on documenting real life, rather than forcing artificial creation, what parts of your own everyday routine are actually highly valuable pillar content in disguise, just waiting for somebody to press record?